Alright folks, welcome back to the DreamHack Austin North American Qualifiers. We find ourselves now perusing around the losers bracket. We had wanted to cast Neeb's match, of course, but that's been covered by the DreamHack stream, so if you want to catch it, make sure to tune in over there. But the bottom part of the bracket is equally important because one person from down here will also qualify through. So spawning in the bottom left side of Dusk Towers, we've got the pink Zerg on Fire's Scarlett.
And her opponent in the top right-hand corner of the map, the yellow Terran player from Team Gravity, it's Semper.
So, when you got upset about the questions I was asking and me threatening your family and whatnot, which I guess that statement without context is a fair statement.
Without context, it is the same as within context.
Was it because apparently it's National Sibling Day? Is that why you got so upset?
So I'm actually really excited about the bottom half of the bracket because we are going to see State playing versus Panda Bear Me right now. But the winner of that will play versus Bales, and the winner of that plays versus Huck. If State wins in that series, it's going to be two back-to-back insanely sick top NA player PvP. I actually really like PvP, so.
Well, unlike Mother and Father's Day, National Sibling Day is not actually recognized as a federal holiday, but it is something exclusive to the United States.
But we do end up seeing a command center being thrown down for Semper. He's not going to do anything super weird. It is Dust Towers anyways, so... Scarlett, of course, also going for her own spawning pool, getting up a third expansion. No 3-hatch before pool or anything. But I'm kind of interested if she's going to actually go for the gas geyser, because there's been a weird trend of Zerg players who have been going for a gasless opening.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how that plays out. But quick question, actually. Do you know who Claudia Evert is?
No.
Because the holiday was originally conceived by Claudia Evert to honor the memory of her brother and sister who passed away in early ages. And the organization has since grown then since 1997 and incorporated to achieve a non-profit status in 1999.
Oh, so this is actually something I really like to talk about, though, because Semper, he goes with this factory. This is a very stylistic thing, and I would actually say it's something that's maybe even a little bit predictable, because Semper loves going for his drop harassment, but because of that, he's always so quick to go straight up to starport deck. He never sits around for too long. I don't actually see him very often go for like the 3cc builds, even on good macro maps like Dust Towers. He just immediately is gunning it for those starport tech, gunning it for the medevacs.
Well, me stop being trolling now. I am actually curious, like, with the starport tech, what comes out of it, though? We've seen so many different games today where Liberators have been a really big factor. We saw, of course, just recently Drunken Boy showing us how to abuse massive amounts of them. Granted, losing, but still, we saw how good they could be versus Zerg. For Semper, though, in every aspect that I know this guy, he's a more standard player. I don't expect to see 3 starports by any means. I don't expect to see anything crazy. The craziest I see for Semper on a map like Dust Towers would be 2-basing it, and then floating the third later from your main, all that good stuff. Because for me, that's what's weird. Like, Semper all-inning is not out of the question, but it's definitely not, I think, in his regular forte, at least in a lot of what we saw in the beta. Semper really did drop off, which was a bit disappointing, but has it since then, especially in the last, I'd say, month and a half, really started to look like back to where he was when we started giving him all this praise in the beta.
Yeah, he is going to be going for the Cloak Banshees, though, that do allow him to put on that additional aggression. It's something that I did end up seeing him do, but as you were saying, it's not going to be a lead-in. I don't expect into a 3-port Banshee like we saw from Drunken Boy. I think that's a Drunken Boy thing.
Yeah.
More than just like a Terran thing.
I mean, Hellion Banshee is about the most standard he gets through the history of StarCraft 2 when it comes to this matchup. But regardless of the Banshees for just a moment, we do have a third CC actually coming down, and this is one of those important points to note, because it means it's not going to be a 2-base all-in. And right now, Terran, I hate to say it because I love the race so much, has really started becoming more and more of an all-in race with Legacy of the Void.
Mm-hmm. And it's always refreshing because of that to see players like Semper, who honestly are just... I say that like he likes to do all this harassment, and people say like, oh man, so aggressive and everything, like that means that they're always looking all in, but Semper is a macro aggression player. He works best when he has enough of an economy behind all of his aggression, which he actually does a great job keeping up. He actually, the only real thing that I would say is sometimes he overcommits to aggression, like he puts too much of his army into it, but he is a really, really good player for actually just continuing to macro up. And Dust Towers actually, I think, is going to be a nice map for him for that.
Okay, so I promise I'm not bringing this back. But the donation has everything to do with it. Iron Dry donates $3.08. It says, by the way, sorry it's not much, but please just to save Robbie's family. HRT.
Jesus.
Helly's going to try and run up the ramp. They'll find some of the lings, so they don't have speed yet. So this is kind of nice, just catching the lings. But of course, the drones are what the target is. And he's going to get a couple for this, but Scarlett is really not too phased. She had to pull some drones, a little annoying. Almost gets a bad blast at the end, but she holds quite well. Banshee going to follow this up, but there's a Spore Crawler already down. There's multiple queens to maneuver around. Semper is not probably going to get... in fact, I'm just going to say he's not going to get much damage done with these Banshees unless Scarlett stops paying attention.
Yeah, I'm almost starting to wonder, just because like these Banshees are going to have such a hard time getting a lot of stuff done. Do you just go after the creep spread? Because you have to remember, it's Scarlett. Creep spread is her middle name.
Well, I think it's funny because I guess that's what everyone gave a lot of praise for, but they made it a lot easier for creep spread to happen in Legacy. So what used to be a very, very apparently great thing for her is not so much the case anymore because everybody can do it. They made it easier, I guess you could say. But, oh, this queen is going to fall if she stays on the front lines. That's unfortunate. The other one's going to try and wrap around the sides. Spore Crawler is almost going to nick that Banshee. How much health did that get away with? 2 health.
That's 2 health too many for Scarlett to actually do a whole lot with. And, oh, the Banshee is balls of steel. Goes back in for a shot. Manages to actually get the cloak off. Gonna walk into the Spore Crawler, though, so gonna have to back up.
Yeah, but the focus of this doesn't really go around the Banshees. They were getting a little bit of damage, and like I said, it's not... They really didn't get much done. Back at home, though, Semper has done something really important. He got his production running. He got the extra barracks down. He's sitting on 5 wonderfully. He's got tons of reactors. We're going to see something like 11 to 12 Marines at a time once he's got full swing of things. And, I mean, that's going to be the hardest, most painful thing to deal with. Just the mass production Terran can do in Legacy of the Void now.
And here's the thing, I say this only slightly jokingly, like this isn't Semper's final form. You guys have seen a little bit of Banshee harassment, you've seen a little bit of Hellion harassment. This is not the real Semper. The real Semper comes out after he again has this economy going, and now that his production is all kicking off, he starts sending out the medevacs, and these Banshees are harassing at the same time that the medevacs are dropping in 2 or 3 different locations. Like that is what we were going to be leading into, but Semper had to get the correct setup to make that sort of situation work. Scarlett, though, her creep spread is going to be pretty sick, and that's actually one thing that helps out quite a bit when dealing with a lot of that aggression, is just having the advanced vision of it, and also having out the Mutalisk now. It's going to help out so much in shutting down anything that Semper tries to do.
Well, this is a decent amount of banelings for the time being. Creep spread does look phenomenal, as we would expect, but Hive's on the way, and Semper, well, lots of Marines and a couple of tanks are nice. They're not going to deal with Hive Tech very well. Not if he doesn't get something a little bit different to contest it. So, drops are going to start going off. Banshees, actually, in 3 are going to make up for what is not a drop. Kind of funny to see, but this is a large amount of damage that should not be underestimated. These might not have hyperflight rotors, they might not have air weapon upgrades, but in every aspect, Semper's Banshees can be very dangerous if unattended. In fact, there's a sweet spot over here to the right side of the hatchery. They can focus down the hatchery.
I think they can just kill the Spore Crawler. I mean, maybe I have to be a little bit careful.
Not 3 of them, no. Not with the Queen there, especially. One transfuse ruins everything. The Marines are going to start clearing up creep, and the amount of Marines here are not that scary. The Banelings can deal with this, the Lings can deal with this. Banshee's going to spread in 3 different directions out of Semper, but Scarlett actually has 3 separate Overseers ready to trail each and every one of them. So these are unfortunately going to die for pretty much nothing.
But this is the big thing. Semper pulls all of the Mutalists and a lot of the army up to the north side, and that's going to mean that these Marines are going to go uncontested. There's nothing to kill the medevacs as the Mutalists are on the north side. Well, creep spread is being cleaned up, but Semper can't find an opportunity.
It's actually only a small portion of the Mutas went to the north side. A lot were still at home, so if Semper did push that, Scarlett would have been fine. In fact, as we see, the Mutas that were at home clean up that Banshee.
Yep.
But the Widow Mines I find very interesting. Like, this isn't Tank Marine. This is Marine Widow Mine, which I don't think is bad. Widow Mines, I mean, that was how everyone had to deal with Banelings and Zerglings in Legacy or Heart of the Swarm. Whoa, she's going for drops? What the fuck?
This is one of the only matchups I don't see Overlord drops in.
Okay, but hang on, this gets scanned right away. Semper should have realized what was coming, and Scarlett's going to lose these Overlords. Overlords don't have boost like medevacs. There's no escaping this, so she's going to get maybe a couple of them away. But even so, getting those to the main, it's just Lings, and they're not very well upgraded Lings either. There's no Adrenal Glands, it's just 2-2. Widow Mines actually do not get fantastic hits. The Banelings are going to push this back. That's a lot of units out of Scarlett. She just continues to flood across the map, but the splash damage for these Widow Mines really has to start carrying Semper here. Meanwhile, he intercepts to the main with some of these Marines. He's hoping to catch these Overlords before they unload. 1 goes down, 2 goes down. Only like 8 lings at most, not even, are going to come out of this. So no problem in the main, but he gets flooded in the front. Banelings crashing into everything, and Scarlett has got an overwhelming amount of units on the field. Her attack, though, was stopped in the main, and no harassment got done, but this kept Semper back. This kept him from harassing her 4th, and this lets her get Ultralisks, Greater Spire, 3-3, and Adrenal Glands right across that production tab.
I think that's the best way to explain it, is that she just bought herself so much time. Oh, Widow Mine shot going off on all the Mutals. Got to be careful about that. But here we go. Semper trying to move out once again. Got to be very, very careful. But the Mutalist flock and the Overseers all going to the main base to try and buy a little bit more time. It's going to work.
Yeah, gotta be careful though, because Marines are pretty deadly, and she's starting to bleed out some of the Mutas for this. But luckily, going forward, the Mutas really aren't the focus of the composition. Scarlett didn't really invest in them. We see the Corruptors coming out. Whether those are right to Broodlords or whether those are just to take out Medivacs, Semper's actually really... in most cases, if a Terran player's on 4 bases, they're good to go. I'm actually really worried for Semper in this situation.
I am too, and I really feel like Semper has not been able to play the game that he usually likes to play. He's tried to do a little bit of harassment, the Banshees were nice and everything, but this really isn't where Semper actually impresses people. This isn't where he actually wins a lot of games. Usually he wants to be the one on the aggression, but finally he's going to be able to move out across the map, take out more than just a creep spread, and actually start to push on into the bases.
It's a lot of Widow Mines. The hits before were pretty crap, so statistically these ones should be better. Get some of the Widow Mines, or some of the Banelings. We'll see if they got enough of them. This Marine's splitting all over the place. Unloading the ones out of the Medivacs that he picked up. Corruptors will remove the Medivacs. Can the Marines fight without said Medivacs? And it looks like a big, stark no, as Scarlett pushes this back one more time.
Oh, and Scarlett actually has enough of these Corruptors, I believe, to, yeah, make Broodlords, as well as even just, I would say, contest this 4th expansion. At the same time, we had... Overlord dropping a couple Zergons over in the main base of Semper. That's going to pull a lot more of his army back, way more of the army than he really needed over here. And that might make the 4th expansion vulnerable.
He did finally get some damage done. Meal's clean up the Widow Mine shot, but he got some drone kills of his own on Scarlett's side of the field. Now, these drops have been a little bit lackluster, and we're starting to see more and more examples of why Terran players don't try and do this style anymore. It's a lot easier, as players got better, to clean this up. But there's 4 Widow Mines dedicated going across the map, so no Marines this time. Broodlord's finally in play. I think this caught him off guard, and he's certainly not prepared to deal with this with support underneath it. Just Broodlords, he could stim into that. But when there's Banelings barring him from getting underneath those Broodlords, this is going to be bad news bears. And Scarlett, she's looking to be in a very good spot right now. Fungal Growth catches a lot of the Marines.
The double whammy, the fungal Baneling blow. And now we end up seeing that Semper, he's starting to lose a lot of this ground, and the 4th expansion going to be vulnerable pretty soon. The Broodlords are making a slow advancement, but at the same time, Semper has done a lot of damage with these Widow Mines at the 4th expansion.
Yeah, but 15 workers killed. Well, neither player's maxed out. Might not be that big of a deal, because Scarlett's army can't be beaten by what's currently available. Fungal growths go down, Marines are held in place. Banelings actually get stuck in a choke. Scarlett just lost majority of her Banelings to this fight. And again, without the Banelings, the Marines could possibly push forward.
There's no energy on the infestors, and that means that the Vikings are going to have an absolute field day.
He just walks away from the infested Terrans, waiting for them to time out. It's going to cost him a barracks or two, but this means he can actually come back in afterwards. Meanwhile, Planetary Fortress is holding without repairs. Hopefully, Semper actually goes to repair it, but focusing down the Broodlords is not looking too bad, and he's starting to hold this position.
Oh, but he's got to keep these Vikings alive.
He's not repairing the Planetary. He's not repairing the Planetary. This is a huge mistake. Okay, he saves it. Last second.
He's going to be able to pick up the last Broodlord. There's more Corruptors coming in, but these Corruptors are not Broodlords. They're all gone.
Despite losing the 15 workers to those Widow Mines, Scarlett still sits on 70, yet doesn't have a bank to work with, and isn't really maxing out on anything super impressive. But the Ultralisks I really like as a choice to swap into, because at this point, Semper really doesn't have anything to deal with them. If there was 100 Widow Mines down, they pierce armor. Okay, not bad. If there's more Marauders, focus them down and kite. We've seen Ryung and many others do this. But he doesn't have any of that available. He's producing 10 Marines at a time. So at this point, he's not going to be able to hit any of these Ultras head on. He's not going to be able to fight any of this. His only option is to try to drop, and those have failed in every instance so far this game.
Yeah, he's going to go for him again. I mean, what can you do? It's in his blood to try and make these drops happen. He's going for the drop at the top side, but it's going to get spotted by an Overlord. Scarlett already has Zerglings and an Ultras, and even the Infestors and Corruptors over there ready to intercept it. At the same time, though, this is the thing. Semper tries to go for the push out across the map. He's going to try and clean up creep and maybe start to do a little bit more damage to that 4th expansion while the army's out of position.
This has been a surprisingly closer game than I expected, and at every turn Semper gets beaten, but every time he bounces back. As we see, the Ultralisk just does not take a lot of damage. It takes a whole army just to take a whole health bar. I mean, yikes.
Transfuse is also saving it and making it so that Semper really only ends up losing through those trades at the drop of the north. But the drops of the north actually find another opportunity, maybe come back in. He's trying to avoid that creep, though.
I wonder how different this game would be. Like, this happens in World of Warcraft and some of the other games where there's healing debuffs, right? Like, Mortal Strike is a commonly referred to phrase in World of Warcraft because it cuts the health regeneration by half, so like healing spells will do half damage. I wonder if you could somehow invent a unit that would do that, where like it doesn't fungal the Marines and kill them with damage, but it just stops them from getting healed temporarily or something. Or again, for Ultralisks, like they can't be transfused. How would that look? I know they tried that with Tempest for a small time, but I feel the Tempest rework was so bad. It wasn't that ability that sucked. Oh
yeah.
It was the Tempest, but nice fungal growth catches the SCVs. A very important mining base for Semper as his 5th gets driven away. He's mined out of his main, his natural, and his 3rd's almost empty as well.
And the double drop at the north side and the north left side did get taken out, so Semper has nothing else out on the map. He's got to make this work. This is the only engagement that really matters, the Widow Mines.
He's got a couple of Vikings left from earlier, but he's not burrowing the Widow Mines because they'll just friendly fire his own units on the Broodlings. Fungal growth. Yeah, I think Scarlett's got this at this point. The Ultras have no real answer without the Liberator shooting them, and even when they do shoot them, they don't take much for damage. Good game. It gets called.
Scarlett taking it with one of those big macro games. And this is, again, what I was saying. Like, when we see Scarlett, it's one of the two styles. We either see, like, that... I think Neve actually phrased it like this. Scarlett either goes all in crazy on the cheese, or she tries to play so perfect that nobody could possibly beat her. And that was her trying to play so perfect that nobody could possibly beat her.
She nailed it so many different times that game. I mean, there's that one mistake with the Banelings in the natural that made that look a little bit dicey, but she was never in fear for her life. And I think the biggest credit I give Scarlett that game was taking no damage from those drops. There's the one exception with the Widow Mines, that 4-drop Widow Mine in the middle of the game. Outside of that, though, she had that on lockdown. She even messed up on her own Overlord drops, too. Still, had everything else on lockdown. So looked fantastic. We'll get game number 2 going here in a moment. Gonna go to a small break before we do, but quick shoutouts to the most recent resubs. Yegulez SC2 is Yaguzel SC2 and Funny55. We'll see you guys here in 2 minutes. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we are getting back into the game. It is map number 2 after all, and with a very clean game 1. Lots of control, lots of creep, lots of Zerglings and Banelings. It is going to be none other than On Fire's Scarlett.
And down in the bottom left, we have the yellow Terran player from Team Gravity. It's Semper, who I really feel like that game number 1, he wasn't able to get into that groove that I was talking about. Like, I know people will say, like, oh, you know, whatever, like, he's just playing a different play style. Maybe you're overselling. No, like, that really is the time that Semper has impressed, I think, most people, is when he gets into that groove where he can make a lot of that drop harassment happen. He's one of the few players that I think you were saying before, like, there's a lot of templates that don't go for that anymore, especially when the Mutos are around. It's so hard to make work, but Semper's one of the few that I've seen make it work and make it look convincingly good.
Well, Semper also, I want to stress, like, his style was very Heart of the Swarm, right? Like, we saw a lot of Widow Mines, something we haven't seen in this matchup for a while, not at least in that quantity. We also saw a lot of emphasis on Marines, no tanks. I feel like Semper, like, my biggest credit to him was something about the medevac being able to pick up a tank made him a better player. That was what I had first said when we started casting him back in the beta. So it was a little bit disappointing not to see any use of those whatsoever. But maybe it was the strategy, maybe it was the map. We'll find out, because Ruins of Endion is certainly... It's proving to be difficult for all players. All the new maps are still pretty fresh, and even you could have a month into this and we'd still have weird builds coming into play. It's how it goes every single season and every time there's a map change-up.
Yeah, and on top of that, there's all sorts of things that happen with the rocks, which I think actually may favor Semper a little bit in the terms of, like, being able to knock down those rocks and buy himself a little bit more safety, so that he doesn't have to worry about any forms of aggression. He can maybe try and get some of that damage done with the drop harassment, but you know, there's still all kinds of other things you have to worry about. In fact, you might even have to worry about Scarlett going for those Overlord drops again. Like, in a world where those Overlord drops don't get scouted and picked off, because guess what? They're making over this terrain that you can't walk over anyways.
I really want to stress how crazy that was on Semper's part to have seen those the way they did. Unfortunately, though, the Reaper misses these links coming across the map, so this Marine that thinks, I'm getting a free Overlord kill, is actually just bait. This SCV is not going to get to finish the command center, and Semper's going to have to... he's going to take some losses here. The SCV's better off just running away. Might actually just take it to the main. Uh-oh.
Oh,
that lets
actually,
her in, though.
That's really annoying to have the two Zergons now moving around the main base. The factory building SCV is going to be there. The Marine goes down, and the factory gets halted. Oh, God, it's sitting at 41 to 43.
Yeah, 2 SCVs die through this. This, I mean, for 4 lings is already cost-effective.
It's
More
not even
so.
over yet. Zergons are still alive. They're going for a final kill on that one SCV. No, not able to get it.
I mean, it kind of looked like she killed the mule, but it timed out. But, you know,
Yeah.
they look cool.
Credit.
Thank you, Heatsink, for the 9-month resub. By the way, congratulations on your sub, baby. Quick Overlord speed, though, coming out of Scarlett. Now, every other part of me would, you know, for some players, talk about how this leads to drops. But Scarlett has actually, since we met her in Toronto, since we've been casting for a while, she's been very vocal about how she feels a lot of Zerg players who don't go for Overlord speed are really just dummies, basically. Those are my words, not hers. And this could just be for scouting, but with the amount of lings coming out, I'm waiting to see if an Evo Chamber gets slapped down, because drops are always a possibility.
It is a possibility, but I think you're right. It's something that I think Scarlett is just more willing to go for as something she wants to do.
It goes back on what we were talking before, where I think Scarlett is one of, like, without a doubt in my mind, one of the smartest players I know when it comes to StarCraft 2. She knows how to read situations, and Overlord speed gives her that information to read in the first place.
And actually, you know, you think about it from Semper's perspective, as the Zergons are going to come in. Oh, actually going to be able to get some nice friendly fire damage on the Marines. Not kill off a lot, but
it's actually smart to siege the tank.
Yeah, but like, think Semper in that last game is just sitting there like dumbfounded, like, what? You're doing Overlord drops against me? And then he sees a fast Overlord speed coming out versus him. Like, you have to think in the back of your mind, like, okay, maybe not, but like, maybe? I don't know. Like, has he ever seen this before? Well, you have the siege tank moving out across the map. This is what you were talking about. Something that made Semper just a little bit better in Legacy of the Void is going to be coming out, and we'll see how much damage you can get done with it.
There's no mining going down, so there's nothing to really deny right now. Scarlett with that Overlord sees perfectly what's coming. This picks off a creep tumor, which is kind of cool to see, but one tank really doesn't have a lot of potential. Funny that the Reaper's actually going to help out a little bit, but this is a strategy where when you start messing around with tanks like this, it really does require a lot of dedication, and really good players, they can macro behind this. Semper's a really good player, don't get me wrong, but it's more likely that if you get a lot of damage done with this tank, your macro has slipped somewhere else.
Yeah. Well, Semper does manage to pick up the tank, and yeah, as you were saying, is that buildup of the minerals, and he already has a third command center finished up as well. He's going to need to really start to get that production going so that he can start making some of those Marines and start spending some of that money. That's already hit over 1,000. Liberator in the mix now. Maybe, well, you know, we keep saying, like, oh, he hasn't actually been able to do that much damage, but the mining over here is actually going to be kind of difficult for Scarlett to actually get going. She kind of tries to get started, but just pulls back. Like, the third expansion has not really been effectively taken yet.
Well, Liberator is going to go down, not before trading out with a couple of these queens. Tank gets a shot off, too. I mean, killing Scarlett's queens is always going to feel great, don't get me wrong, but I mean, it's gas for mineral-based units, and that's not going to be cost-effective. 1-1 does finish up shortly, and her layer is nearing completion as well, so we may just very likely see the same strategy as last game. I know for a fact Scarlett can pull off Roach Ravager all, and I've seen her do it with cast games of her winning with it. But the fact that she's chosen to stick on Lings and Banelings is not a bad choice. It's just interesting to me to not see her try and change that up at all. But when you're up 1-0 in the series, you know, if it's not broken, don't fix it, I think is the saying, and we'll see if she can follow through. Because her macro is always so impressive to look at. Always.
Yeah. Oh, Medevac gets so low on health. The one more queen shot and it would have gone down, but Semper does manage to save that, as well as a siege tank. And is going to be taking his third behind it, knocking down the rocks, and feeling a little bit safer, as those pesky Zergons won't be causing him any more trouble for a little bit.
I wonder how broken the game would be. I mean, absolutely, without question, it becomes overpowered for Terran, but I'm wondering just how broken the game would be if they gave them that nanobot upgrade you get in the Wings of Liberty campaign that slowly regenerates health on mechanical units like Zerg do. Like, can you imagine like having a medevac just sit in the corner of the map, almost dead, then come back full health? How that'd be so tilt-inducing. Now,
like, I'm just imagining the Banshees coming in and like leaving for a little bit and just coming back at full health and more energy for Cloak.
Right, and we consider how ridiculous that is, and then it reminds you how Mutalisks work. Alright, so Mutalisks are actually coming out in a moment or two. The Spire does finish up. And Semper's going to go for a Widowmine drop. There's actually 4 Widowmines and several Marines in this, so this could get some pretty good damage. But most importantly, he's going to realize Scarlett's working away at the rocks down here to the south. This is something to be very aware of, because the last thing you want to do is get caught off guard by Scarlett attacking you from your back door.
Yeah, but this is it. Semper moves in with a drop at the bottom side with the Widowmines, as you were saying, but he also moves in with a drop at the top side that he is going to find that 4th expansion at the same time that he sets with these Widowmines in the main base. Could get some good shots off on these Zerglings.
Oh, it's going off on the Overlords, though. God, no.
I can't tell if that was intentional from Scarlett, but it works out either way. And the drop at the top side for Semper, going to be able to potentially pick off this base.
Yeah, getting this base shut down is going to be really nice, because 4th base for Scarlett is not something you want to let him happen, especially when we're constantly talking about our macro, but not in the mineral lines initially. He's actually trying to focus it, but not quite going to get it. Now that the Mutalisks are out too, without those, Mutalisks will hunt this down. You can no longer just kind of hide idly in the top. And there's not enough Marines in this to really trade out, so this medevac hopefully gets home alive. It's the only way that this ends up being cost-effective for him. Another command center comes down as well, so it looks like he's preparing to take a 4th at some stage. The question goes for Semper, where do you take that 4th? Closer to Scarlett or more far away from your own base? They're both equally dangerous in my opinion.
I kind of like the idea of taking it as the medevac does get caught in the top left-hand side. It's sitting a little bit too idle, but I like the idea of Semper taking it a little bit further, just because if you're going for this style where you're going to continue to drop even after the Mutalisks are out, then you need to try and pull your opponent like really far into the corners of the map, so they get even further from the defense when you go for the drop.
So this is a bit of a problem. Scarlett's only just now making Banelings. She's had none leading into this. And the Mutalisks, they need to be able to snipe off those tanks. It's almost bait. This isn't enough bait. Oh, it is enough bait. Okay, this is bait. I don't think Scarlett's silly enough to fall for this, but I do this all the time, and when it works, you feel so fucking amazing. But these 4 Widowmines are enough to one-shot. She sees this, I believe.
Oh. Okay. Only one goes off. She only loses 1 Mutalisk.
Yeah. It's so tempting to just dive for the tank. When you see a good player like Semper do that, you don't think, oh, he made a silly mistake, I'll capitalize on it. You're like, okay, that looks suspicious as hell.
It's a little bit too obvious.
It's like you're in an abandoned house and there's a creepy girl in the corner. Do not go ask if she's okay. Just stay away from that creepy girl. Like, you will die to a ghost or something.
I mean, I was gonna use the example of like there's $1,000 just laying on the street or something. Like, you might be wondering why there's $1,000, but you could go for the creepy girl example.
I was thinking of the ring, to be honest, more than anything else.
I mean, if I see a creepy girl, I'm running away from it, like regardless of anything else.
Shoutouts, by the way, to optional player for the 11-month resub, and thank you, Mental Acuity, as well. We'd love you guys so much for those resubs. But Scarlett finally breaks down those rocks, and Semper was not ready for this at all. He saw this coming, but he didn't know the timing. The command center in danger of going down to the mutas. Maybe? Okay, he'll chase this back. Scarlett's off creep. She doesn't have a ton of banelings. This is a bit of a risky fight.
Where are your Widowmines now, Semper? Those siege tanks go down.
Senpai.
Oh, okay. That was all the siege tanks, though. And actually, the Liberators get
too. I mean, there's a lot of Widowmines, and this is cool, but that Liberator was really not meant to die like this. He's going to focus down the hatchery in the top right. That's kind of a cool move. He could actually kill the Spine Crawler. There's no need to fully fall back from this. His position behind the mineral line is fantastic. He'll trade out very well, but he will lose everything.
Yeah, and unfortunately, he cannot go for another bit of harassment on the bottom side like you would probably want to do, because right now he has to deal with these Zerglings that are knocking down the rocks over by his 3rd expansion. 4th expansion is being set up for Semper, so he's going to be able to have that going for him, but the rocks on the south side got knocked down. This is going to be actually susceptible to big Zergling run-bys. Even with the Planetary Fortress, Banelings or Mutalisks, they can easily dart over there. Oh, well, the Widowmines are actually over there waiting for these Mutalisks. Semper's trying to get a little bit cheeky with them. Again, he might be able to get it. Oh, they're all going to go off.
But it's just barely not enough. And you remember what I said about that regeneration? How broken that would be?
Dude, I'm a Protoss player. I'm with you on this. I'm not gonna. There's nobody here to defend.
Protoss are like halfway between Terran and Zerg, right? Because Protoss can't repair their structures, but they regenerate the shield. So it's like a half and half. I like to put you in my coffee, dude. You know what I'm saying? But the drop up here is actually going to get scouted. Scarlett should be able to turn around and pounce on that pretty easily. She's also fully aware of this attack coming in the south, but it's not much. The ground army alone should be able to handle it.
Yeah, it really isn't going to be a lot, but I think he's just trying to buy a bit of space for that drop at the top side to actually work out. Because if this army is at the bottom, drawing all Scarlett's units down here to the south side, that's when the drop moves in at the top right-hand base and maybe does some damage.
Maybe we'll find out. This base for Scarlett, though, is going to fall in the center, so this is a nice pickup for Semper as he picks off not just one but two hatcheries, but there's Ultras. Kindness Plating's done here in a moment, and Semper's presented with the same problem he was before, with not a great answer. Ling's about to surround these Marines. They're stimming and stuttering and trying to get away. The Planetary's going to help hold.
And at the top right, he's doing the damage. The drop moved in as soon as Scarlett's army charged on forward. And guess what? The Spine Crawlers cover a lot, but they do not cover the hatchery.
This is really nice. This is the type of play that every Terran player wants to get away with, but rarely can against a player like Scarlett. But with the mapping so starkly spread out north to south, I mean, she saw this with the Overlords. There's a lot of argument that she should have cleaned this up, but the emphasis went down to the south instead, and that cost her yet another base.
And Semper are going to be able to try and stim up. I mean, he loses the medevac in the top right, but he ends up trading out versus a Mutalisk or two, so at least he shuts down a little bit of that. And now when the Mutalisks are in the top side, Semper's going to push along the bottom side once again.
Yep. These Liberators are so critical. He's building more starports behind it because they're his only real answer. He's not going for ghosts. He's not going for tanks. They're the only things in the possibility of this game right now that are going to kill Ultralisks.
Oh, command center up in the top left. It's getting taken out by the Mutalisk. This is a little bit awkward. Might have to even repair up the missile turret.
Yeah. Really quick, just while we've got a small break in the action, I see Blue Zealand complaining about this in chat, and with fair point. Guys, if you've ever not received your Partouf and you're worried that it's been a couple of months, shoot us a message. There's a very small chance, because we don't miss them often, but there's a small chance maybe your Partouf got lost in the mail, or we didn't send it, or we didn't get your proper reply. If you're ever worried about not getting it after you've been here for 12 months, shoot us a message so we can look into it. Because I don't want anyone to feel like we've purposely not sent out a Partouf or something.
Yeah, but here we go. Scarlett's charging on in. This army is still a little bit on creep, but good Widowmine hits. Actually cleaned up a majority of the Banelings. Still a couple left over.
Here come the Liberators, though.
Oh, but they're too far forward. They're going to be able to get some damage. Oh, no. They get taken out by a lot of these Mutalisks.
But the Mutalisks also get taken out a lot by the Liberators, so both players disengaging from that regard. Widowmine took out the Banelings, and now the Marines are in a little bit more free, a little freer to shoot these, but they still don't do much for damage.
Chitinous plating and
oh no! All the SCVs are stacked. If she goes for the mineral line instead of the gas geyser.
Oh, okay.
Oh, God damn it.
A little bit. Just barely.
Sieging up this base simultaneously while this goes on. I mean, Scarlett is relentless. Semper was getting away with multi-pronged aggression before, but Scarlett turned it around on him. However, I still don't know that she's really in a position to go for a kill move. She's done a lot of damage, there's no question about that, but Semper is recovering as we speak. 5 Liberators at a time.
5 Liberators at a time is a lot to be able to deal with the Ultralisks as well as the Mutalisks, but you have to remember that the Liberators, they can kill Ultralisks really quickly. If the Ultralisks are staying in the zone, that's the problem. They never do.
In fairness, nothing kills Ultralisks quickly, but they kill them much quicker than anything else available, that's for certain.
Look, snipes kill Ultralisks pretty quickly. I'm not going to lie.
Actually, that's true. You're right. I mean, I would actually more... You could actually more dependently rely on a snipe killing an Ultras than the Yamato Cannon. Because the Yamato Cannon actually only does, 400 damage, I think, right? So the Ultra doesn't even get one shot by it, but 3 snipes are, boom, dead.
Is this the first time you've seen this bottom gold base take taken?
No, but it's not going to be taken for long either, is the problem.
Well, I don't know. He's making a planetary fortress. He's getting his Liberators here in time. Scarlett's backing up.
If he roots himself in this position, I almost feel like this is great because it's a faux... It's like a faux base that he's actually mining off of. Because up here in the top left is the base he actually wants to have. Well, he's not landed it. There we go. Because this is the base that's going to more comfortably mine and better be muled. The gold base is kind of just get away with as much as you can while you can. The missile turret set up some really great Sim City that makes this hard for Scarlett to engage on. But right now, my fear for Scarlett, she's got a lot of fungal growths ready to go, but only one Viper. Oh, excuse me, a couple Vipers now, 2 Vipers. But parasitic bombs... couple fungal growths. If all the Liberators die, the Ultras will just destroy whatever's left on the ground.
it's going to be so important to make sure that the control is absolutely on point over here. But the Broodlord is going to be that range damage, going to bait the Liberators into moving on forward. Infestor is going to be throwing out the fungal growths, and the parasitic bombs are down as well.
I don't know if this is good enough, though, for Scarlett. She does hit hard, but she's going to have to fall back. There's not enough to really push this forward. The Infestors, their damage is good. It's more about holding them in place, though, so they all soak the parasitic bomb damage, and that didn't quite happen.
But I mean, that's all she has to do. She just has to continue to poke and prod. She doesn't have to take this all out with one singular attack.
Yeah,
there's a little bit of repair going, but it's not the entire Liberator army already repaired up.
And we haven't talked about this for some time, but up here in the top right, she has established this side of the map. Like, she was losing these bases before. She's bleeding out to Semper. My argument for Semper would be he'd be better doing what he was earlier now than ever. And the fact that we go back to these drops. But there's Ultras waiting. There's Lings here. There's Spine Crawlers down. He's not going to get the damage he wants to.
Oh.
She tries to push in through the south. We saw that fungal growth come in. We're going to see parasitic bombs. No, we're going to see abducts. Wait, what the hell was that? I guess it died as she reached out for the abduct, so it looked really weird.
Oh, these Infestors, though, I think Scarlett lost like 4 or 5 Infestors over there, just so the Liberators getting a little bit too close to those Infestors. Broodlord's going to try and force another move in from the Liberators, and this is going to be the opportunity to try and get those big fungal growths down. Parasitic Bomb is where are they?
I actually really like the idea of doing abducts more than parasitic bombs at this point. She's got a Spore Crawler wall up. Parasitic bombs are damage guaranteed, but not kills guaranteed, and abduct is. Now we got Ghost coming out for Semper, something we don't see too often unless used versus Ultras, but you know, Fury Dragon and EMP could do magic against lots of Vipers and lots of Infestors.
Oh, absolutely. It's actually something that in that match, that one best of one that I talked about happening on Central Protocol that happened a while ago. Oh, good Widowmine hit on the Mutalists in the top left, but Semper showed some really great control of a very hard to control army. Parasitic Bomb's going down once again, and they actually get some pretty decent damage on. I mean, it's just about softening up these Liberators, because then you add in one of those pulls, and suddenly those Liberators are pretty much absolutely dead as soon as they get pulled.
This hit squad out of Scarlett, though, pounces on top of some of the production. We do have Liberators going towards the north, and looks like he wants to hit some of Scarlett's upper bases, but this needs to be dealt with. It's an Ultralisk. That already makes this a pain in the ass to deal with, but the Mutas certainly hurt as well. Kind of cool to see Muta still getting used this late in the game.
No problem. Like, oh, I took a little bit of damage. I'll just go heal back up. I got my back.
I didn't realize the Viking count had grown while this goes on, but more so than the Vikings, let's not forget the Broodlords now have to actually worry about the snipes coming out of those ghosts. I mean, we talked about EMP potential, but snipes can still kill Broodlords. Looks like the top right should be deflected with his Ultra, maybe? Kiting's going to be hard. Meanwhile, we got some amazingly large resubs coming out of Penguin with 16 months. Big love to Penguin, of course. And Dojiville for the 27-month resub as well.
Ooh, good fungal growths coming down from Scarlett to the bottom side and soften up a lot of these units. But, you know, I'm really, the more that I see these kind of awkward trades is, Scarlett's actually going to move top left, so hold that thought.
Infested Terrans would be great in this position, especially if she kills both Ghost Academies, excuse me, but looks like she's going to fall back.
There's a lot of Ghost Academies. The only time you get multiple Ghost Academies, Rifkin, is when you're looking to build some nukes.
Yes. Now, there's a bit of a problem that went on with this, too, by the way. The reason Semper started losing ground towards the south wasn't necessarily the fungal growth. The Broodlings were triggering a lot of the Widow Mines. We saw quite a bit of friendly fire damage going down on these units, so slowly she gets to finally advance forward. But the emphasis here is on slowly, because it's been 5 minutes to move the Spore Crawlers 2 inches.
Oh, but in the top left, we have more
Snipes.
Small Squad this time. Oh, Snipes happening to the bottom side, but there's 4 Ultralists and a handful of Mutalists, and this should be enough, actually, to take out any defenses that Semper has, even with the Planetary Fortresses.
Nope, not with the Liberators there.
Okay, maybe.
This is actually a little bit frustrating for Scarlett, because she's in this position now where she's got this massive bank, but she can't throw it away frivolously. In the past, that's been like the mantra of Zerg, right? Like, throw your bank at your opponent, and your production being as great as it is, being some of the best in the game, is what wins you the game. But she doesn't have that capability. So she's trying to do these more like elite hit squads as she runs around the map, but as we can see, it's struggling to do damage. I can't believe he got away with his gold base for so long. We finally see some of those abducts coming into play.
If she continues to shut down these bases, I mean, even if the Liberators are there and causing problems, if she continues to shut down Semper's mining, this gold expansion is almost mined out. The top left-hand expansion is a real only healthy base left.
Yeah, and Semper, because he's been constantly reproducing every abduct and every parasitic bomb type thing, these kills are slow, but it is slowly, steadily winning Scarlett the game. Look at the resources lost. You know, a little while ago, it didn't look like she was ahead that much, but she's gotten ahead by about 5,500 minerals and gas combined. So it's again, the slow victory, the slow and steady victory that's getting her ahead in this game.
Oh. Semper has a very big army moving up along the north side, though. A couple Liberators, got a Ghost in the mix, a handful of Marines and Mirage, and this is going to be a hit squad trying to shut down the bases. But I don't think Semper realizes how many minerals and how much gas that has.
He just made a big mistake in the south, though. He walked those Ghosts up greedy, looking for those snipes. They got fungled. They got killed. Now there's nothing to keep this army back. North side. Okay, this might actually kill a base, but the Liberators and the Ultras for the southern half of the map.
Oh, the cleave damage is brutal, and there's no way you can really pick up effectively over here. Sure, Semper keeps a bit alive, but Scarlett has a good bank. She's okay with, like, maybe losing this base for a little bit.
I agree. Like, this is not a priority in the north, but the south is, and not because Semper needs this base to mine. Like, okay, her shutting that down is great. That's also the key to his production. That's the key to his back door. Once she's able to start flooding lings through the south, she's going to have a great time. But she is going to deal with these drops. She doesn't want to give away the bases for free, and she does take her army to the north. It's slow, but it's getting there. Fact,
yeah, she still needs the gas income as well. The gas income is still important. She's not sitting on a massive gas bank.
Oh, she's got this.
She just remade 11 Corruptors.
She cleans all of this up, loses some drones, which, let's be honest, at this point, she could stand to lose.
Yeah.
You lose the drones, you get more supply, you're going to have a bigger army. Fantastic. But regardless of those losses, she's hurting on gas. Everyone's hurting on gas. Not Semper, actually.
Semper, he has the opposite problem. Maybe they could play, you know, a little bit of, what's it called? The game where you build roads. Oh, boy.
Settlers of Catan?
Settlers of Catan, trade resources.
What the fuck are you talking about, man?
Anyways, Ultraless and Scarlett is going to be moving on in, trying to get some damage done. Finally get an opportunity to push in, but the
EMPs. Oh! That doesn't get all the infestors, though, and that was all the ghosts for it, so I'm not sure if that was going to be worthwhile. She's got a lot of Liberators she has to worry about, but truth be told, I feel like once Scarlett removes the initial threat, she can flood lings with 4,000 minerals. 3 lings and adrenal glands will win this game. No doubt in my mind. Parasitic bombs hit everything. Corruptors cleaning up the north side. Vikings are just dying way too quickly. The Broodlords push through, and Semper put up a damn good fight, but he's finally been broken. It took her a while to do it, but Scarlett has dived massively ahead in this game. GG.
GG. Scarlett with a 2-0 that, you know, put the 0 points or a 0 score for Semper. It may look like a bit one-sided, but damn, those were really cool and close games.
By the way, Kirk, who I didn't know much about, did actually advance on, and he goes on to fight against Peely Peely. The winner of that plays Scarlett. Bottom side is PvP-orama, though. You've got State and Bales playing. Winner plays Huck. There's a lot of good matches still available. I'm not sure if we'll sit around for Scarlett, or maybe we'll jump to that south side, but one thing's for certain, and that's we're going to go to a break. So thank you guys for watching. We still got more games to cover when we return, but we are getting close to the end of the qualifiers because we don't know at what point DreamHack's going to kick us off. So I think Bales and State are doing vetoes. Maybe we'll hop into that. We'll see you guys soon.